Yeah, so Fuentes has this new documentary sort of thing coming out. I saw him post it. Um, I thought I would just play it. It's not that long. I would just play it and commentate on it because I hate my life. He's the most censored man in America, and Laura Loomer is the most censored woman in America by their own description. Apparently, I don't know. Let's see this bullshit, huh?
Try and actually dissent against the government in a real, meaningful way, and you'll find that you'll run up against the same kind of resistance and the same kind of opposition from the American government that a Russian dissident would run into in the Russian government, and the same kind of opposition that a Chinese dissident would face from the Chinese government. It's not that much different, and I'm living proof.
Yeah, it's not that much different, except in Russia and China, they'll fucking jail you and torture your ass and ruin your family's life in a similar fashion. So, but you're going to face resistance from any government if you find out what's sacred in any country, find out what their holy books are, and go and burn it in public. And there's going to be a backlash against it. So him complaining how bad he has it here in America, just, I don't know, it's lame. What's the freest country in the world? Switzerland or something, where you have the most freedom? Or maybe Hong Kong before the Chinese took it over? Like, I maintain Fuentes didn't... He's not just saying what he thinks. Like, here's the difference between him and someone who's trying to speak truth to power or whatever. He specifically finds out what agitates people and what pisses people off and pushes those buttons intentionally and then whines about the resulting blowback that he feels, which is he's banned from private organizations, which isn't too uncommon. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people banned from CPAC, but he's on the do not fly from what he says, I guess. I guess that's resulting from his being a part of the whole raid on the Capitol to some degree. So, I don't know. But this is what people say. Like, this is what he will say. Like, if you criticize Israel, it's the biggest backlash you could possibly imagine. It's like, no, it's not. Did you have a fatwa issued against you, like Salman Rushdie, when he published his book? Like, can you go out in public without bodyguards and this type of thing? Like, it's not the most extreme thing you can do. He's just, self-promoting. All right, let's see what the fuck else he's gonna say.
The first political content that I ever saw was an interview with Thomas Sowell, actually, for the Hoover Institute.
Every single time, the reduction in the tax rates has led to an increase in tax revenue. So I hear people on television saying how the government can't afford to give this tax cuts to the rich. Not giving anything to anybody.
The first book I read was Free to Choose by Milton Friedman, and, from that point on, I was political. Good evening, everybody. You're watching America First. My name is Nicholas J. Fuentes. We have a great show for you tonight. I started to realize that there would be consequences for my views almost immediately. I started my show America First in February 2017, and the first ever hit piece that was written about me that came in April 2017 in response to comments I had made on my show. And of course, the comments were taken out of context. The first major wave of deplatforming was in Reddit, Twitch, and then PayPal. People forget how rapidly that's accelerated. I distinctly remember.
So, like, out of nowhere, all these places banned him, but he doesn't go into saying, like, what he said along the way to get himself banned. I don't know the actual history, but you have to be pretty out there to get banned by these services. But anyway.
remembered when text censorship arrived on the scene as a new phenomenon.
I got banned from Twitter.
And now, that's just the law of the land. I was suspended from Twitter yesterday. Permanently suspended, gone.
The big tech companies have launched their fiercest attack yet on your right as an American to follow your conscience and to say what you believe.
There was this sense ever since I got started that total deplatforming was inevitable. But they banned the sitting president of the United States.
Like, it's not totally inevitable because plenty of other people are able to maintain a platform where they're not banned. He's just embraced it as he pushes the limits on purpose. This is what I'm trying to say. Like, he's an agitator. He's a provocateur in the way Milo was, but he hits on things that are even probably more offensive. So his strategy is to get banned, and then that's going to make people want his content even more. I think it's a stupid strategy. If you want to be a part of, if you want to have an impact of the system in the United States or any other country, you have to be a part of that system. You can't get yourself kicked out onto the street and be, waving your arms, trying to get attention, getting people to look through the windows, or, talking to passerbys on the street. He's a provocateur. He does this on purpose. Wait, what can I do what's the terms of service and what can I do? And then he crosses those lines on purpose. Even if it's not 100% blatantly obvious, so he can have that, he can maintain, he didn't blatantly break the rules. He just, kind of covertly crossed the line. But that's just what he does.
From Twitter. They don't give you a reason. It's not like they have a good reason. I'm now banned from every major social media platform. As somebody who was deeply entrenched in the media ecosystem and in the landscape, it was pretty clear what the writing on the wall was, which is that everybody is going to be deplatformed from everything, and it's only a matter of time. Currently, the FBI is pursuing an investigation against me for my involvement at the Capitol. I had done nothing wrong at the Capitol. I committed no crime. I went there for the Trump rally on the Ellipse, which was just outside the White House. I walked to the Capitol with hundreds of thousands of other people for a civil First Amendment protected demonstration. I didn't participate in any violence, illegal, criminal activity. And so, on the one hand, I knew I had done nothing wrong, but I also know that in this new country that we have, that doesn't necessarily protect you from law enforcement. I won't even know when the investigation ends. It may still be going on. It may not be. They don't actually tell you. It's open-ended as far as that's concerned. They investigate you. They don't tell you when it ends. And it could be years before they return, before they show up, before they build their case and finally decide to bring you in. And if they decide not to do that, well, they'll never tell you either way. They don't tell you that either. One night, I think I was playing video games or streaming or something, and before I started up to go to bed, I checked my email, and I saw my email that my credit card had been declined for some subscription, and I said, well, that's weird. I don't think I'm over my limit on my credit card. As far as I know, it's a good credit card. And so I go to my online banking app, and I see that on my checking account, it was $0. And understand, I had something like $500,000 in that checking account just the other day. And so at first I thought this is a glitch, so I refresh the app and nothing changes. I close the app, I reopen it, nothing happened. And upon further investigation, I saw there was a legal order placed on my account. I went through my transaction history and I saw a legal order and subtracted my entire bank balance. Froze both my credit cards and my entire checking account was frozen, which is where nearly all of my cash was. I called customer service at the bank. I said, where's my money? What's going on? They said, well, we'll get to the bottom of this. They called their legal department. They called me back a few minutes later and they tell me, your account is under review and we could give you no other information. And I was furious. I said, are you kidding me? I had all this money one day and now it's gone. When's it going to be released? Who's doing this? Why is this happening? And they just kept saying the same thing. All we could tell you is your account is under review. And so I called the bank every single day for 2 weeks, multiple times every day for 2 weeks.
Well, now this is really fucked up, but because it's Fuentes and he's always trolling and always being a provocateur, it's like, how can you know this is true or not? Or how do you know this isn't just another ploy for attention and victimhood? Because the government actually seizing your money when they haven't charged you with anything like drug dealing or something like this, yeah, that is totally fucked up. But how do we know if that's true or not? You have to rely on the word of Fuentes, I guess.
Weeks. And finally, after about, I think it must have been 15 or 16 days, she calls me back and she says, Mr. Fuentes, I have some good news for you. We have an update on your account. In order to get in touch with the people that have placed a legal order on your account, you can call these numbers, and she gives me 3 phone numbers for U.S. attorneys working for the Department of Justice. And so at that point, I know this is an FBI investigation. At that point, I know this is the Department of Justice, which has placed a freeze on all my cash and my bank account. And the reason why this is so crushing is because the Department of Justice and the FBI are immovable because of the war on terror, because of the Patriot Act, because of how the federal government operates. They really can do whatever they want to whoever they want, and there's nothing you can do about it. And so I talked to my lawyer. I asked him, can I get my money back? Is there anything I could do? Do they have to release it? Which are the obvious questions that anyone would ask. And the response is basically, they can take your money, they don't need a reason, and they can keep it as long as they want, and they don't have to give it back. And this is how the federal government works. A lot of people assume that because this is America and not Russia or China, that there must be something that can be done. You must be able to sue. You must be able to file something and pursue some kind of recourse. But sadly, that's not the case. If you find yourself the subject of an FBI investigation, if you find yourself a target of the federal government, there's really nothing more that you can do. It's as inevitable as death or gravity. The federal government is going to do what it's going to do, and you're just along for the ride. All of that concentrated power that's been built up in Washington, D.C. is being rotated and turned inwardly. And the kind of shock and awe that we saw in 2003 or 2001, Patriot Act, panopticon surveillance state, that's now being wielded by...
Now, this is really interesting. If this is actually happening to him, I'm not 100% convinced it is, but if it is, he should document it more. Maybe that's what he's doing with this series, but that's something that'll get people's attention. But, you know, what do I know Fuentes for? It's agitating, you know, maintaining the Holocaust didn't happen or whatever. Really pressing people's buttons as opposed to documenting something like egregious like this that a lot of people could get behind. I mean, I don't support his activity agitating that crowd, but you can maintain it was stupid and wrong or whatever, but seizing someone's assets, that much of somebody's assets, clearly crosses the line in our society. So I want to hear more about that from Fuentes, not his stupid antics, just trying to agitate people, because that's probably what's put him in this position to begin with.
By politicians, bureaucrats, connected, wealthy, elite people, and they can now wield that and utilize that against people with American citizenship. People that have done nothing wrong, are not criminals, are not a threat to society, but people that are merely an inconvenience or a problem to powerful people. And so at that point, that's the total end of a free society. That's the end of your rights, that's the end of your property, and it could be the end of your life. And so that was the first major instance of the federal government coming after me after January 6th.
Episode 2, the no-fly list. Okay, well, this could be interesting. He's actually talking about real issues, not the bullshit that he normally talks about. Because while I don't like Fuentes, and I don't really care if he got his ass banned from other places like Facebook or Twitter, it is an important discussion about what what is the line that is a violation of people's free speech, civil liberties, etc. So, hey, I thought this documentary was going to be completely full of shit, but maybe he's onto something here. I don't know. We'll check out episode 2, whenever the hell that comes out.